the West European chaos of 2046. Here in the Nordics, it's still under occupation of Denmark, Italy, Ireland, and Finland. Nothing much is here, but they're gonna maybe, in this peninsula, the Central European Peninsula, maybe there's gonna be a new nation. Later, Spain makes the Iberian Union. Following the annexation of Portugal and the Portuguese were fighting from Funchal because that was a military base. Same as the Azores, but the military base of Funchal was captured. Now the Spanish only had to go to Ponta de la Grana and capture the Azores, which was a success for Spain. Meanwhile, on Praia, the Dutch occupied land. They were still fighting, but mostly neutral. In the Balkans, it was not really much of a deal. But Romania demanded a small border change in Bulgaria, taking a few of these lands. And Bulgaria was totally fine with that. Now the Czechoslovakian Federation wanted this bit from Ukraine. But then Ukraine resisted back. But then the Czechs started taking more. And that was an accidental invasion until they took more. And it was seriously war. And Ukraine said, only these parts were okay, but not most in the middle of my land. And they took it back. And then a treaty was signed. Now, the coalition was starting to end. But a brutal attack from, guess where? A. Saudi Arabia. B. Equatorial Guinea. C. Madagascar. D. Brazil. E. Paraguay. F. Mexico. G. Transcaucasia. And none of the answers were correct. It was a huge bombing raid over the UK from the Iberian Union. Later, right in the southeast, there was not really much going on in the Balkans. But Cyprus wanted to unify with Greece, and Turkey didn't really mind. Starting from the island of Crete, with a small invasion. But the Cypriots were allowed to have North Nicosia, which made it a little even. Meanwhile, let's look at some of the micronations here. Malta. They made an agreement with Italy that they should unify with Italy. And so they did, via the island of Sicily. Let's look at some more micronations. And no, it's not Monaco, not Vatican City, and not even San Marino. In fact, it's not even a micronation. Poland. They made an agreement with Denmark that they should do a small invasion into Danish liberated land, which made the Danish occupation of Germany a bit shorter. But that was all fine. Then they also made an agreement with Belarus that they take some old land, and so was an agreement from Ukraine. And so it was kind of the Polish Empire. Now, Serbia were a bit encircled by Bulgaria, Albania, Romania, and Italy, but they didn't mind since they were now mostly neutral. Liechtenstein was now officially a country. Well, it already was, but then it turned from a microstate into a big country. Meanwhile, let's look at the independent Belgian provinces. Not really a setback has been made from this chaos. But yeah, with that bombing raid over Britain, well, it was time to push back. They started invading the Iberian Union and officially in Iberian land, capturing Barcelona and some other cities, and even Mallorca. But then, the Iberians made a huge comeback, started invading again, even getting Barcelona back, and then getting back into British occupied land, and made a treaty again that they should not attack each other. Well, that was kind of a childish conflict. Meanwhile, in Morocco, the Spanish made it forward that they should sign a truce with Morocco so that they would not attack each other. Then, Mauritania surprise attacked Morocco and gained these lands. But back to Europe. The map is already such chaotic as it is. Meanwhile, back to the Dutch forces in Cape Verde or Cabo Verde. They are planning to ship back to Europe. But will that be a success for the Dutch or a failure? But then, the Dutch went back to South America to regain their lands of Curacao, Bonaire, and Aruba, but that failed because Venezuela was out of the war, and taking that risk would mean Venezuela back in the war. Finally, something about Switzerland. Yeah, they made an agreement with Liechtenstein and Italy that they should take some stuff. which made Switzerland a bit smaller, but they were allowed to keep one of the key cities, Zurich. And the Italians attacked from the south. And the Tsars even made an agreement, taking Geneva and Lausanne. Now, Iceland wanted to gain independence, and they took the risk. Starting in Selfoss and then into the capital, Reykjavik, and the Danish were kicked out of Iceland. Next, Iceland was about to take Greenland, but the Danish were prepared for attack. When they marched in, the Danish kicked them off anyway. But then they tried again and again, and they got Greenland, which massively angered the Danes. And Danish forces were sent to now Icelandic Greenland, but attacking Iceland in the process. And then Icelandic troops evacuated to Canada. And then the Danish got Greenland back. And then to chase down the Icelandics, they got Iceland back again. But then Iceland started again. They started the war again, getting back their setbacks, but finally a truce was set. That Denmark should not attack Iceland for 5 years. Now, what will happen with Cyprus? What will happen with Switzerland? What will happen with Mauritania? What will happen with the Stans aid? Well, let's find out in the next part.